Why does Orthodoxy allow remarriage, given that Jesus said that to divorce and remarry, except for porneia, is to commit adultery? This is my biggest hurdle as an inquirer. Thank you. All right. Thank you for the question. That's a often asked question. So the church does not and has not ever taught in council or by the Holy Fathers that it is blessed or good or endorsed by God that people get divorced, and that it blesses people like, yeah, this is a good thing. That's what a blessing is, right? A blessing is to bless people, go get divorced, right? It's a tragedy every time somebody walks away from somebody, even for what Christ allows, which is infidelity, porneia, fornication, or adultery. It's a tragedy. So it's always a tragedy no matter what, even when God allows it. It's a tragedy that what God has united is now no longer functioning for salvation. So the whole point, the first and foremost, the point of marriage is salvation, right? To be saved. That's why people come together. And in that context, they're working out their salvation, and children are coming or not coming, and whatever else God is allowing pedagogically and lovingly for them to become like him. Everything is for us and for our salvation. That's why they exist. That's why the Lord did it. And if you understand in that context, you understand the church in its extreme pastoral economia or economy or allowance, whatever you want to call it, is trying to deal with broken, sinful people who no longer are struggling for their salvation and struggling together. For whatever reason, there is a whole spectrum of reasons. Some are better, worse, justifiable, not justifiable, whatever you can imagine, right? Some people are victims. They don't want divorce, but they're forced and they're rejected by one, and they don't want it. They don't embrace it. They don't endorse it. And yet the one walks away from them. So then how does the church deal with it? And over time, the church in the first millennium, including the Church of Rome, by the way, before the schism in the 9th century, made a pastoral allowance for those who would not remain faithful. What do we do? Now, the marriage ceremony, in other words, the service of marriage, the gift, the mystery of marriage is not repeated. It's not the same service for a second so-called marriage. It's penitential. The second time somebody comes together, if it's two people who are walking away from their first commitment and their unity in their first marriage, they're not united in the same service, the same prayers, the same joy, but it's penitential. It's saying this is a tragedy, but better this than to burn. And be in repentance for the rest of your life together, working out your salvation. Try again to walk the path of salvation. That's why marriage, and that's what everything the church does, is geared toward. So it is technically, literally wrong to say the Orthodox Church blesses a second marriage or performs the marriage ceremony again for somebody who's been married a second time. Now, sometimes what happens, either out of ignorance or for pastoral reasons, the marriage ceremony is read for those who are doing a second marriage because they're marrying somebody who's in a first marriage. So how do you deal with that? I'm not really sure why and how the bishops decide when and how to do that, but that does happen. Or there's just ignorance on the part of clergy, and they end up reading the same marriage ceremony. But that's not what historically and traditionally is done. And so I think that's the proper way to understand this pastoral economy, which again, I want to stress, was embraced and accepted by the Church of Rome before the schism in the 900s when there was a council in Constantinople. I don't know the details of that. I'm looking for more information on that, but I'm informed by a very good friend of mine who's an historian who says he's working on getting more information from that. And why do I stress that? Because the charge against the Orthodox Church again and again from the papal Protestants is that we embrace, bless, and are somewhat indifferent as to how many times people are married. It's not the case, not among the saints, and not in the actual text of the church's divine services. It's not at all like that. It's a terrible and unfortunate, great condescension to people's weaknesses, because we don't want people to walk away from marriage and then end up living their entire life fornicating. We're trying to bring them back to the path of abstinence ultimately abstinence and spiritual life, right? I mean, as you grow older, married people should little by little put aside the relations as they grow older and older. After childbirth years, the Orthodox Church teaches, the saints teach, that as we get older and older, we put away the sexual relations. We do it, of course, for all married couples through the fast, before Holy Communion, and all the rest. But how much more after, as we go older and older? Now, there's again a big spectrum there as well. But my point is that is the case for all married people. But how much more for those who are struggling to walk the path again, right? We want to bring them to that path of asceticism, of the cross, and not licentiousness. So I think that's at least my understanding, right? And I'm not a perfect understanding of these things. I haven't done studies of this, so take it or leave it, but that's my understanding how the church has approached it. And it goes back again to the first millennium. It's not something we made up yesterday.